The world of anime goes far beyond epic battles and supernatural powers. There is a genre that conquers hearts through realism, emotion, and perseverance. Sports. Stories that portray the sweat, effort, and passion of characters who dedicate their lives to what they love. Every practice is a challenge, every defeat is a lesson, and every victory is an achievement that goes beyond medals. These animes show the true spirit of competition, not against others, but against oneself. Get ready to discover the titles that define the genre and inspired millions of fans to never give up on their dreams. 1. Haikyuu! Since childhood, he was captivated by the energy of a game that seemed impossible for someone of his height. But instead of giving up, he decided to challenge his own limitations and prove that passion and determination can overcome any barrier. His dream was simple, yet immense: to reach the top and be remembered for his talent, not his size. Upon entering a new school, he is faced with his past in the form of a rival, someone who had already defeated him and now becomes his teammate. The clash of personalities and pursuit of perfection turn every practice into a battle of pride, learning, and perseverance. Amid mistakes, falls, and moments of pure emotion, a partnership is born that redefines the meaning of teamwork. Together, they discover that true power doesn't lie only in physical strength, but in synchronicity, trust, and the will to never let the ball hit the ground. 2. Ping Pong. The animation. Two friends, united since childhood, share the same passion for a simple yet relentless sport. One is driven by ambition, dreaming of becoming the best in the world, while the other plays calmly, hiding a talent few can comprehend. They are opposites in everything: attitude, temperament, and purpose. Yet they find in the table the bond that gives meaning to their lives. As they grow, the weight of defeat and expectation begins to shape who they truly are. One's overconfidence clashes with the other's apathy, and the friendship that once seemed unbreakable starts being tested by the very game that united them. In this sport, technique matters, but it's the heart that determines who remains standing. Amid imposing rivals and pressures that push beyond physical limits, they discover that the real challenge isn't across the table, it's within themselves. What began as mere fun turns into a search for identity, purpose, and self-overcoming. Because in the end, it's not just about winning, and that it's about understanding why you chose to fight. 3. Fighting spirit. Hajime no Ippo. He always lived in the shadows, used to taking hits rather than striking back. His routine was simple: study, work, and try not to draw attention. But everything changes when, in a moment of pure humiliation, he is saved by someone who sees something different, a dormant strength hidden behind his timidity. Inside the ring, he discovers a new world, a place where fear turns into courage and every punch teaches lessons about pain, persistence, and growth. The fragile boy gives way to a fighter who learns, through every training session, that the real opponent isn't the one in front of him, but the doubts that hold him back. With the support of mentors and rivals who push him to improve, he walks a path of sweat, blood, and perseverance. Each fight becomes a step toward his own redemption, a way to prove to himself that it's possible to win, even when the whole world doubts him. Because in the end, the fighting spirit isn't born from strength, but from the will to keep standing after every fall. 4. Kuroko's basketball. Kuroko no basket. In a sport dominated by gifted giants, an invisible player shows that strength isn't always about appearance. While stars rise and shine on crowded courts, he is the shadow that moves the game, the silent link between effort and victory. But when arrogance and ego take over the team, the passion that once united them fades, and each member follows their own path. Now, at a new school, the flame of competition burns again. Among new teammates and old rivals, his reunion with the past brings not only memories, but also a renewed desire to prove that true basketball goes beyond numbers and fame. Alongside an explosive partner determined to reach the top, he finds the perfect balance between light and shadow. Together, they turn the impossible into reality, showing that the game is more than power. It's about trust, teamwork, and believing in yourself, even when no one else does. 5. Tomorrow's Joe, Ashita no Joe. In the Forgotten Streets, a young drifter learns to fight not only with his fists, but with life itself. Used to solving everything with brute strength, He had never known discipline or purpose until he crosses paths with an old coach who sees in him what he himself cannot, the potential to be great. Between poverty, pride, and anger, a relationship is born marked by conflict, failures, and rebirths. The wild boy who once fought by instinct must now learn what it means to fight with heart, technique, and control. But the ring is no place for instant glory. It's a field of pain, sacrifice, and redemption. Every punch, every defeat, every victory shapes not just a fighter, but a man searching for meaning. Because in the end, it's not just about defeating opponents, it's about facing oneself. He doesn't fight for fame or money, but to prove that even those who come from nothing can still dream of tomorrow. 6. Run with the wind. Kaze ga tsuyoku fuiteru. It all begins with an unlikely encounter. A lone runner escaping his own mistakes, and a determined dreamer set on turning an ordinary group into something extraordinary. In a worn-out old house, 10 completely different young men face what seems impossible: to run as one body, one spirit, toward one of the country's greatest races. Amid exhaustion, disbelief, and stumbles, something greater than running itself is born. What starts as a reckless plan becomes a journey of self-discovery, friendship, and perseverance. Each of them carries an invisible weight: doubts, regrets, frustrations, and it's on the endless roads and rhythmic steps that they find the strength to keep going. It's not just about finishing first, but about running for the meaning of being alive, to keep moving even when the body wants to stop. Because sometimes the true wind that drives you doesn't come from outside, but from within. 7. Major. Since childhood, he lived with one purpose: to reach the top of the world through the sport that runs in his veins. The field, the sound of the ball, and the weight of the bat were more than just symbols of competition. They were the inheritance of a life shaped by passion, pain, and perseverance. Even when faced with defeats, injuries, and seemingly impossible obstacles, he never lost the flame that kept him going. Now, facing the chance to represent his country, he must once again prove that talent and willpower are powerful weapons when used with purpose. Even without a guaranteed spot, he steps onto the field ready to challenge everything and everyone, showing that a true champion isn't the one chosen. It's the one who refuses to quit. Every pitch is both a reminder of the past and a promise for the future. Rivalry, sacrifice, and the dream of surpassing limits become the fuel for a journey defined by courage. Because for those born to play, love for the sport is something no defeat can erase. 8. Medalist. He always dreamed of shining on the ice, but time and circumstance forced him to abandon that dream. Years later, trapped between frustration and routine, he meets a shy girl driven by silent passion and a constant fear of failure. In her eyes, he sees a reflection of who he once was and who he still wishes to be. Through mistakes, doubts, and exhausting training, an unlikely partnership is born. A former dreamer and a young girl full of potential join forces to defy expectations and prove that talent blossoms when there's courage to believe. The ice, cold and unforgiving, becomes the stage where every mistake is a lesson and every fall a step toward perfection. More than competing, they learn the meaning of persistence, because the true medal isn't on the podium. It lies in the journey of those who choose not to give up, even when the world says it's too late. 9. Megalo box. In the city's shadows, where the ring is the only place a man can prove his worth, a nameless fighter lives on the edge, trapped in a cycle of fixed matches and empty promises. He fights for survival, not for glory, until a true champion challenges him to fight for real, not just with his fists, but with his heart. Provoked, he decides to abandon the comfort of submission and face the impossible. With no money, no equipment, and no name, he climbs step by step through a tournament where only the strongest endure. Each fight becomes a war against destiny, a clash between who he is and who he wants to be. Even when everything is against him, the fire that drives him is the will to fight for something real, not for fame, not for power, but to prove that courage doesn't come from machines, but from the human spirit. Because sometimes the true champion isn't the one who wins, but the one who never stops fighting. 10. Umamusum. Cinderella Gray. In a world where speed and perfection define success, a young woman with a body marked by pain finds freedom in what once held her back. Every step she takes is a reminder of all she's endured, not for glory, but for the simple joy of running. While others chase fame and recognition, she runs for something purer, the feeling of being alive, of defying the impossible with every movement. But fate places her against a rival who embodies everything the sport demands: technique, strength, and discipline. Their clash awakens something new, something beyond competition. For the first time, the flame of ambition ignites in her heart. What once was passion now becomes purpose. From that moment on, she ceases to be just an ordinary runner. Every training session, every finish line, every fall becomes part of a greater dream. Because for someone who once knew the pain of not being able to walk, running isn't just victory, it's proof that willpower can break any limit. These stories show that sports go far beyond competition. They're about effort, perseverance, and the courage to never give up, even when everything seems lost. If you also feel inspired by these emotional and determined journeys, don't leave without giving a like. It really helps and shows that you want to see more videos like this. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. Here, every week brings new stories, fresh recommendations, and much more from the anime world. So turn on the notification bell and come join this community that lives and breathes emotion in every episode.